Welcome everybody, IAmAMusicNerd here, back with another album review. This time I'm reviewing St. Vincent's 6th studio album, Daddy's Home. Before I get into it, if you enjoy the content on this channel, please show your support, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you're a return subscriber and you want me to do more album reviews like this, hit the notification bell to be alert for new content. And then let me know in the comment section if you like this kind of album review format, if you want me to review more albums on this channel going forward. So St. Vincent, this was an album that I was heavily anticipating, probably one of my most anticipated albums coming out this year. And the way that she kind of described it is that she's kind of, writing a love letter to early to mid 70s New York. So, taking in sounds from that era. And okay, it's like, all right, Annie definitely reinvents herself with every new album, which is what I like about her. I like that the more she's gotten in her career, the weirder and the more experimental that she's gotten. And she tries on different looks, she tries on different sounds. So we all knew that this was going to be totally different from Mass Seduction, which that album was kind of very 80s new wavy in a sense, but also leaned on like techno and psychedelia and kind of art rock. And so when I hear the teaser single, Pay Your Way in Pain, it's like, okay, she's finally embracing 70s funk, which is something that she's done some songs that leaned on funk in the past, but I think with this album, she's definitely putting on that warm, fuzzy blanket of funk and just really embracing it because it feels a lot more honed in here than in her previous work. But anyways, checking out the teaser single, Pay Your Way in Pain, I gotta be honest, my first reaction was, I was a little jarred by it because it was just so different. She pays tribute to a lot of different artists, a lot of her musical heroes, one of them being David Bowie. Hearing the pain refrain in this song, it's like, okay, that totally reminds me of like David Bowie's Fame, where he did the same thing, fame, pain. I can see where she got that from. Now, officially listening to this album, the song fits in very well with the vibe of this album. Very laid back, sexy, 70s cool vibe that Annie is going for. The next song, Down Out and Downtown, I like more. This was the first time in the album that, okay, I kind of see the vibes. It's like, all right, Annie is kind of name-checking New York streets, New York locations, talking about bodegas, talking about the Bowery. And although this album is trying to paint the picture of like 70s New York, that time where New York was very sleazy, but also was on the brink of debt. And I think Annie, in a sense, although she is playing a character, there's parts of it where you kind of can relate to on a personal level. Obviously, me living in New York, being down and out and downtown, feel like you're kind of embracing the small charms in New York, just like strolling around on Friday night, just seeing what's open, what's happening. So I definitely fucked with this track. The next song, the title track, Daddy's Home, is obviously playing on the concept of somebody who was gone for a long period of time coming back to their home. Apparently this album, this song, right off the bat, I was like, this sounds like a Steely Dan song. In this song, Annie is talking about being daddy, who's daddy, and I like the way that it kind of like can have multiple interpretations. Like she could be talking about her literal father, or she could be talking about an actual father who's responsible, or she could be talking about a pimp. Annie's kind of taking on like this character of this person, this caretaker, which is something that runs through the rest of this album. Annie playing the caretaker, the daddy, the one that makes sure that everything is alright, that protects the weak. And I do like some of the background vocals here. It really does sound like a musical, like a twisted musical in a sense. It does have that kind of like Broadway feel to it, this song. Then you look at the song Living the Dream, which literally does sound like you're in a dream. And when I hear like the sitar, it reminds me of like late 60s Beatles, kind of like Abbey Road era Beatles. And it does sound like the song because because the world is round. And so it kind of plays on that same tempo where, once again, Annie is playing this character who's like the caretaker. She sees somebody who's broken, who needs protection. Musically, I didn't really love it. I think it went on a little bit too long. I did like some of the guitars here, kind of the dream pop element of it. While it plays into the story musically, it didn't really grab my ear that much. The next song, The Melting of the Sun, which was the second single released in this album, and this is where I kind of warmed up to, all right, this is how the album's gonna sound, because Pay Your Way in Pain, it was so jarring, it was so different. And here it's like, okay, now I see what Annie's trying to go for, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album. I really like kind of the hazy psychedelic distortion that Annie's trying to sell here, but it's also taking in new instruments that we haven't heard before in a St. Vincent album, like the clavichord. And it sounds like a mid-70s kind of Stevie Wonder ballad in a sense. Annie paying tribute to several women who kind of defied the odds, paying tribute to, beautiful, strong women like Marilyn Monroe and James Mansfield, Tori Amos, and Joni Mitchell. In the way that this song sounds, not only is it like paying tribute to Stevie Wonder, but I kind of thought it was like her version of Walk on the Wild Side in a sense. On that song, Lou Reed is kind of name checking these characters, these oddities, and I think that's what Annie's doing the same here. So I definitely noticed the influence on that front. Another song on this album that I like, Down, which was the last single released from this album. And if there's any song that sounds like her last album, Mass Seduction, it would definitely be this song, Down. Hearing it's very funky, but it's also playing on techno that she was doing heavily on her last album. And once again, Annie is playing this defiant character, this daddy who can't be touched. And so I'm definitely getting like 70s crime story vibes here. Then you have the song My Baby Wants a Baby. Listening to this song, it interpolates the famous Sheena Easton song 9 to 5, Morning Train. When you listen to the lyrics of this song, and if you relate to what that 9 to 5 song, that song is kind of like Sheena Easton being proud of her domesticity, being a housewife, the simple pleasures of being a housewife. And this song, Annie's kind of doing the other side of that, where she's speaking from the standpoint where, she has to be the father figure, she has to be the protector. But in this case, while her baby wants that simple life, she wants that domestic, happy life, I kind of get the sense that Annie's playing a character who has having conflicts with that. This character wants to have that freedom to be a rock star, to have their name in lights. I think in that last verse, she's kind of like, if I choose this other route, my name's not going to be known, I'm going to be forgotten. It's kind of like taking that conflict between being trapped into that traditional lifestyle as opposed to being who you really want to be and to be your independent person. And then another song that was one of my favorites, At the Holiday Party. And to me, this sounds a lot like Joni Mitchell. Like, I think even some points Annie's trying to sing like Joni Mitchell. She's talking about a party where everybody is having fun and they're drinking wine and they're reminiscing about the old days. And she kind of glances over at this other person who, after they laughed, they kind of feel like reality hit them and their smile cracks a little bit. And so Annie's playing this character that sees that and is saying like, hey, like, cheer up, I've been in this situation. It's a very warm and friendly song. It's very sincere. Like a lot of songs on this album, I think this is the most open that Annie has been in her career. I think this song and her being empathetic towards another person's struggles, it definitely humanizes this character that Annie is trying to portray. Daddy's Home is a very interesting album. Like, if you're a St. Vincent fan, it's definitely gonna be an acquired taste, and that's saying something for St. Vincent, because she definitely makes a lot of alternative, like, out there music. If you can kind of accept that she's going for this new sound where she's embracing 70s funk and gospel and soul, then you might like this. If you're not, then this album really isn't for you. I think this is one of her most cohesive albums. Although I did like Mass Seduction, it did felt like two different albums. This one is a lot more airtight. It's the story of it is interesting to follow. And of course, I like that era of music. I don't know if all the songs hit the mark for me. Of course, I talked about some of my favorite songs here, but as a whole, it's not an album that I will go back to as much as, you know, her self-titled album or Strange Mercy. I think lyrically, it's a lot better than Mass Abduction, but musically, I think the sum of the parts are better than the whole. Once again, I appreciate St. Vincent for continuing to push the boundaries, to continuing to reinvent herself with every album. And although this album, maybe it will click for me someday in the future, I think right now it's not really hitting on the level that I expected to. But tell me what you think in the comment section. What do you think about this new St. Vincent album? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are some of your favorite songs, songs you dislike, all that stuff? Tell me what you think in the comment section. YouTube recommends these 2 videos you check out after this one. Love you guys. As always, peace.